I mean, this is just what everybody wants. To be honest with you, I mean, you're giving your fans exactly what they want.
It's our 40th anniversary, so
Yeah.
it was an opportunity to mark this milestone. And I thought about it a couple of years back.
Yeah.
And met with a guy named Gotham Chopra, who I know you know.
He's been here on this show,
Yeah.
and he is as good as they come, sir.
He really, truly is.
Yes.
I sought him out after seeing Man in the Arena.
He's Brady's guy, right?
Brady's guy.
Uh-huh.
And I just thought that his take on Tommy's story, compounded by, if you really think about what he did with the production value, think about all the way that they edited that piece.
Yeah.
So I met with him based on, I thought he understands team. So I think band can relate to the concept of team.
Yes.
And because of what I assumed was his family, association, he would have that spiritual aspect. So, i.e., family. And so I met with him. He was the first and only director I met with. And we started this journey 2 years ago.
Fantastic. And it's going to be on April 26th. Back here, the radio audience on the Rich Eisen Show. We just showed on the Roku channel a clip of Thank You, Goodnight, the Bon Jovi story, a 4-episode docuseries that premieres Friday night, April 26th on Hulu, which, of course, you can see right here on the Roku portal. The great Jon Bon Jovi is here in the 40 years.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, what if I told that kid from Jersey 40
I would
years?
never believe that.
Right?
I think when you're a kid and you get a record deal, you think the year 2000, just because it was such a big number.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was going to be 38. And I thought, if I'm 38, am I going to have a family? Am I going to still have a career? Where's my life going to be?
Right.
But I never would have dreamt in 2024, I'm talking to you about a 40th anniversary, and still making hit records. It's crazy.
So have you seen the full 4 episodes?
Not the
or-
final. I think the final, the last time I saw a cut was 4 or 5 months ago. It'll have changed, but not dramatically.
Right.
You know, I stayed out of it.
You did.
I really did.
How long did you sit down for it?
Oh, God, repeatedly over the course of the 2 years. But I wasn't in the editing bay. I'm not a producer of the film, nothing like that. I had to give creative control to God.
So, okay. So you sat.
Not
and
a
you-
puff piece.
Not
Not.
a puff piece. And you, so obviously, rest of the band sat down. Bruce sat down
Bruce,
as well.
Southside,
When was the first time you met Bruce Springsteen?
1979.
Where was it?
I was in a cover band. I was still in high school. And I was singing a song called The Promised Land by him.
Yeah.
And I turned around and he was at the microphone.
Come on.
And I was like, and someone has a picture of it. I mean, it's out there. So the first time I met him, I was literally in high school.
What do you mean he was standing? So you had no idea he was?
No, he was in the bar and he jumped up on stage and he sang the rest of his song with me. And, and then they kept an eye on what I was doing. And 3 years later, I wrote Runaway. I stopped playing other people's music. I was like, hey, wait a minute. I don't think I should be playing other people's music,
Right.
And I quit that cover band, which was my band. I became the lead singer in someone's original band to learn the craft. Short-lived, but nonetheless, it was a first foray. I started writing songs. 2 years later, you write Runaway, and then a year later, I have the same record deal 41 years later.
I just want to rewind a little bit because how did you just keep singing when Bruce Springsteen hops up and you're in high school and a cover
first
band?
of all,
I mean,
we were all fans, and in Asbury Park, the cute adage was there were 10 Asbury Jukes, 7 members of the E Street Band. You turn around, you're going to bump into one of them. They were always around, and so it wasn't an odd occurrence to see Southside or Bruce. Southside produced some of my first demos in 1980. I was still in high school.
still in high school.
Yeah. Yeah, I was the kid. It was like, oh, yeah, there's that kid.
That kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, heck of a kid. No doubt about it. I mean, I just saw Bruce at the Forum the other night with my wife, who's a huge fan of yours as well.
Thank you.
And 74 and killing it. 3.5 hours.
Killing it.
He sounded the same.
He's unbelievable. Yeah, he's a specimen, that man.
Yeah. So why are we calling it Thank You, Goodnight? Why are we calling it that?
Well, I find it as a term of endearment, to be honest with you. Some will think that it sounds like it's the end, but it's really not.
Okay.
When I approach the microphone at the end of a night, I realize that those folks have given me 2 hours of their life, to which I say thank you. And then I wish them well into the good night. And I mean that emotionally on a nightly basis. It's not thank you, good night.
Right.
No. It's thank you for your time. Thank you for giving me 2 hours of your life to be here with me. And so... And there's also uncertainty, because I've gone through a reconstructive vocal cord surgery that I'm coming through. But nonetheless, it was a daunting 2 years.
Well, I mean, you do know that folks, when they hear "Thank You, Goodnight," that means the Bon Jovi story is over.
No,
like, that's the sense
it's
that they
anything
would get.
but. There's a new album coming in June.
Great.
The single is on the radio. It's called Legendary, and it's blowing up like big, the world over. And the reception to this documentary has been unbelievable.
And it's coming Friday, April 26th on Hulu. That's, you know, it's the second night of the NFL draft. John.
Well, it is the second night, so you know.
You already know. You already know.
It is the second night.
You'll
so
already
you
know who the Patriots choose third overall.
My goodness, I don't have a clue right now. I don't have a clue.
Nobody does.
We need a lot. But there's a new energy in the building, so you know, it's just the beginning of a new era.
So, were you a Patriot fan in Jersey, or?
So here's the great story, and people have asked me. They're very confused because of my Jersey roots. Bill Belichick and I go back some 34, 35 years. When he, Charlie Weiss, Bill Parcells, who allowed me to come to practices back in the 80s, because I was always so respectful and stayed out of the way and took that long hair and put it in a cap and was the water boy or the guy holding the plastic dish on the sidelines.
Yeah.
I mean, when the Giants won that Super Bowl against Buffalo, you could see it on NFL films. Guys were actually wearing T-shirts that I had made up that were Bon Jovi shirts, because this is a day and age before compression gear and all this stuff. They were wearing T-shirts under their uniforms. And they were Bon Jovi shirts that I had made up for the Super Bowl. So I literally was the mascot. And so wherever any of them went, I went. And then by 96, I met Mr. Kraft. They lost that Super Bowl to Green Bay. And there's this great, history of Belichick and I on Saturday afternoon going and grabbing a drink on the walk back to the hotel. The Super Bowl was different in 96 than in 2024.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit, right?
Yeah.
And so we literally in New Orleans could go and grab one of those big sugary drinks and be half buzzed on Saturday afternoon before a Super Bowl. That's sort of where my relationships were. My son played, he was a walk-on at Notre Dame because Charlie Weiss introduced us to Notre Dame. Wherever Parcells went, we would go check it out, except for when he was at the Cowboys, which I left, as soon as I visited.
Understandable.
Yeah, we have issues in New Jersey with Cowboys.
It's understandable.
But the Patriots, on the other hand, I just fell in love with the Patriot way and the idea that our friend was going to be the head coach, and and that relationship is built and built. I was with Matty Patricia last night.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's here with me.
Well, I mean, Belichick is as brilliant as they come.
Yes.
And I've been there listening to him talk football. I've been on the queue of him being the A talking football.
Yeah.
And I have been just a fly on the wall watching him talk football with other people.
Right.
What is it like him talking music?
Well, he is a music fan. I mean, most people in the world would never know that he was a closeted drummer. We bought him a drum kit years and years ago. Or that he would, come to Europe on the road with us where nobody would pay attention to him being there. So he likes music.
He loves it,
but
right?
he likes being around it, which was cool. And
does he pick your brain when he,
No,
okay.
not in that way. I mean, he's just a fan of the music. I think it's foreign to him, but the thing that everyone knows of his character publicly is not the same guy privately. He's just an incredibly engaging, warm family guy. Mm-hmm. I've spent time with him at his home and him at my home. I mean, we're really good friends. So this whole brouhaha with the Dynasty was jarring. Because it's even, in my perception, different from the book, which the book I read cover to cover.
You're talking about the documentary that just came out?
The documentary, The Dynasty,
right.
and the book I thought was incredible in a timeline of everything that had happened, and I thought it was a page turner. I couldn't put it down, and I mentioned it plenty of times, and I sat for hours of interviews for the Docuseries, and it wasn't the same guy that I know. I think he deserves more credit. Because it was the three of them, as far as, the outside viewer looking in.
There's no doubt. I think what that documentary definitely did show is that when Brady was just a kid, and Bledsoe was the man.
You bet.
That there were a couple times where Belichick had to just stand his ground. Everything for me goes back to the movie Hoosiers, because that's my favorite sports movie.
Yeah.
Right. So you remember the scene where I've just got 4 on the floor.
Yeah.
That's my 4 on the floor. And the crowd and the fans are howling against Coach Dale. And Gene Hackman waves his leather satchel with his game plan at them. Like, this is what I believe in.
David Anspaugh, the director, is
brilliant, right?
Yep.
So Belichick did that a couple times. And
yes, he did.
And so when people are like, well, he just rolled the footballs out with Brady, you're missing a huge point about all this. And I think and Brady was a perfect extension of Belichick's mindset.
Is 1 in a billion, not a million. Tommy is the unicorn.
Because he also, maybe just from his Michigan experience, I don't know, everybody needs a little bit of love and a hug. He could respect the tough love and the tough coaching.
That's hard.
You know what I mean?
That's hard, and that's Tom, and maybe that's his family upbringing, and his mom and dad. I don't know why or how he kept his ego so in check, but the sacrifices that Tommy made for team, pay cuts, team first, all the keeping their mouths shut the Patriot way, all of those things. It to me, 1 and 1 and 1. Made a dynasty.
Yeah, it made 6.
It made for 20 years.
I've got Jon Bon Jovi here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, so we have some questions about your career.
Oh, boy.
And we'd like to get it together. This is exciting because let's play Celebrity True or False with Jon Bon Jovi. Hit it, please.
Celebrity True or False?
You can't handle the truth.
All right, there we go. Celebrity True or False with Jon Bon Jovi. First up, true or false, you made your recorded debut on a Star Wars-themed Christmas album in 1980. What? Really?
R2-D2, We Wish You a Merry Christmas. That was the song. I was a gopher in a recording studio from the fall of 80 to like night 82.
Was that the album cover?
That is the actual album cover. And a guy that was making these kind of Star Wars, taking advantage of the success of Star Wars, said, "Can you really sing?" And I said, "Yeah, I can." And he said, "There you go. There's a microphone." Paid me $183 and RSO Records, which at the time was a big Polydor label. I was very excited.
I bet. And so
R2D2, the little robot.
Right. R2D2.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
So there was a lot of bebops.
R2D2, we love you.
Okay. You're our only hope, Jon Bon Jovi. You're our only hope. Oh my gosh. All right. So that's true. Next up, you and Richie Sambora initially wrote "You Give Love a Bad Name" for Loverboy, but liked it so much you kept it for yourselves.
True. We were thinking it was interesting. We had 2 albums. First one did well enough. The second one doubled in success. It was a gold record, and we were doing well. But I noticed from afar, I said, Bryan Adams, who had come up at the same time as us, was breaking through on a whole nother level. And I thought he just had a hit song with Tina Turner, and he had these kind of crossover successes. And I'm just scratching my head going, why aren't the first 2 album songs connecting in a bigger way? So we thought maybe what we need to do is write something for someone. And we got together with a friend of ours named Desmond Child, and we wrote "You Give Love a Bad Name." And as soon as that was done, we were like, I think we'll keep that.
Yeah.
Good idea.
So you just heard it and you're just like, yeah, we can't
good.
get that away.
It was just good. It was good.
Yeah, can confirm.
Yeah.
It was just good. Okay, next up, true or false, Jon Bon Jovi. At first, you wanted to leave "Living on a Prayer" off of "Slippery When Wet," thinking it wasn't good enough, but a group of teenagers you were talking to convinced you to keep it.
Well, now that's a little stretch.
Okay.
The truth is when we wrote it, it was very simplistic. We wrote it with an acoustic guitar and a notebook and a stand-up piano. So there was the famous bass line and the drum beat and everything else that goes with it to make it what it is today.
Yes.
Was not there. So literally, Tommy used to work on the docks. All that was finished, but we're banging on our thighs while that was what we had in the room. And when we went to rehearsal with the band, and Hugh came up with that great bass line, we started to feel the energy. But when it was the day that we wrote it, I said, well, it's good. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I didn't know what it was until it was demoed with the band.
Okay. So where did it No, not to ask you where
the story was there was a
the
pizzeria
teenagers-
behind the demo studio in my hometown.
Yes.
And because we had made 2 records already, we were popular. And the kids from the local kids who were our age, we said, you want to come and hear some demos? And they heard a bunch of those songs and went, like that. And we were playing them Wanted Dead or Alive. You're playing them Bad Name. You're playing them Prayer. You're playing Never Say Goodbye. They're like, we like those.
So
did we.
Yeah. So it was like a teenage focus group. De
4 or
facto?
5 people.
Like you just-
Again, it's
you just
exaggerated. There's 4 or 5 guys that were Jersey guys sitting around eating pizza. Come on, Mike.
I can relate. A bunch of guys can
It
relate.
was one of our cousins, Mike. You know?
Were you one of them, Mike? Were you perhaps one of them?
I never saw him at the Pony, but I saw Springsteen at the Pony.
Right. You know why I wasn't always at the Pony is because the Pony was known for cover bands.
Yes.
I was playing around the block at a place called the Fast Lane, which was original music.
Yes.
I realized when I was still too young to drink, the way out of here is not going to the Pony to play other people's music.
Yep.
My band, would go over and watch Bruce sing cover songs with the local bar band because that was where you went for the fun.
Yeah.
But I was playing to 50 people 2 blocks over, cutting my teeth playing my own stuff.
Have you ever heard a good karaoke version of a song of yours by anybody ever? And where did that happen?
I don't know. I'm sure there are. You know, I've been
You ever in a spot where it's just like I'm going to go up, and then
I
you
was
look up on the screen and you see your lyrics coming, and you go, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, I don't go to karaoke bars often, obviously. But I was at Charlie Weiss's son's wedding.
Yes.
And the trumpet player in the wedding band started to play the bass line from Living on a Prayer, and my head sunk. I was like, oh, God. And now you got, I'm going, oh, no. You know what this means? I got to get up there and sing with a trumpet player playing the bass line of Living on a Prayer. But, you know, I was a good sport, and Charlie Jr. got married, and, you know, I had to go.
Yeah, everybody just swings to you in the room.
it was
Just
By the
like,
way, and you probably rocked it. So.
all right, I love it. Okay, couple more. This one's a doozy. Jon Bon Jovi, celebrity, true or false? True or false? You once kidnapped Michael Jackson's pet chimp Bubbles and took him to a hotel bar in Tokyo.
There was no ransom held for Bubbles, but the story was we were all in the same hotel. We had gone up to see Michael. We hung out with him a little bit and asked him to come down and hang out with us just to get the poor guy out of his room.
Yeah.
He didn't take us up on it, but he did send Bubbles. He partied hard. True story. True story. It was in a hotel, not in a bar, in our hotel.
Okay, and you did not kidnap.
No, he did not.
He willingly sent
Bubbles, but he wasn't very socially, comfortable with other bands and stuff. So,
well, so
true story. Bubbles came down practically smoking a cigar. We were like, hey, I'm Bubbles. What do you got? How's those girls?
Did you think it was like a prank at some point?
No, because we knew Bubbles was there with him.
Okay.
I mean, when you meet Michael Jackson, he was so striking. You walked into his room and his manager took us up to see him, and it was Richie and I. We went up to his room, and Michael literally had the bullet belts over the top of it in his own hotel room. And he enters his own hotel room, and your eyes go wink womp because it's Michael Jackson.
Right.
And we make small talk for a while, and he was incredibly engaging and wonderful. And we said, man, we're having fun. We got a couple of days off here too. Come on down, we'll have a cheeseburger, typical Jersey bar band stuff. And he demurred, but he sent Bubbles down.
So then my last follow-up question, did Bubbles have the cheeseburger?
Bubbles definitely had the cheeseburger, the booze. He was like all over my wife. He's like, hey, babe, I'm Bubbles.
Now, this last one, we were told this. We didn't read this anywhere. We were told this by Lou Diamond Phillips when he was on the show.
Yes.
So last one, true or false, you made a quick cameo in Young Guns 2 as a prisoner that was immediately shot in the chest.
Yes.
That's true.
True. I was there writing the soundtrack for the movie. I wrote Blaze of Glory, and then subsequently the soundtrack. And so they said, you got to get a costume on and get in here. And so I had to jump at the chance to do that with these guys. And I didn't even get out of the pit where the prisoners were. They shot me and they said, shot through the heart. And your tube was like, haha, very funny. I wanted 17 lines, my own close-ups. They were like, no, you're dead. So that was the end of it.
So that was it.
That's it.
Is that the only movie you've been in?
No, I've actually done 12 movies. I started studying as a result of that. And I had such success. I won a Golden Globe, was nominated for an Oscar, #1 record. For Blaze of Glory, I was like, this is easy. So I started writing more songs for movies. I got my hands on scripts, and I said, Emilio and I, who became very close, was learning hobbies, basically learning how to ride a horse, shoot a gun. In his race car movies, he's racing a car. I thought, these guys are doing really cool things under the guise of acting. I started to study the craft of acting and enjoyed it immensely, but, I still had a day job.
So you basically took the fact that when they're like, hey, you should be in the movie, and they immediately just shot you dead.
Shot me dead.
That was maybe
Should've
an
taken that
indication
as
of
a
their
sign.
belief in your acting ability. So you hit the books. Is that what you're saying after that?
From there, I had to study the craft. Yeah.
Fantastic. Celebrity True or False with Jon Bon Jovi. All right, so this is awesome. This has just been great
Thank
having
you, brother.
here, man.
So happy to be here.
And thank you. Goodnight. The Bon Jovi story starts on the Friday night of NFL Draft Night, 4-episode docuseries on Hulu that you could see right here. Anything else you want us to know about it?
No, we're raring to go. New album June 7th. It's called Forever.
All right.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Cool, Bubba.
Yeah, you got it.
Thank you, Rich.
Jersey Strong right here
Amen,
on the
Mike.
Rich Eisen Show. All right, terrific. Great to
Thanks,
see you, man.
guys.
Thanks for being
Awesome,
here.
man.
Jon Bon Jovi, everybody, right here. There he is. Is that it? Did we put him in the back right there? We snuck him in there. That's you. We'll send this to you for a new movie poster. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.